Faith TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Monday Morning Digest. I'm your host, Godfrey Gishoke, and this is a wonderful, wonderful morning. It's the 25th of April, 2022. And as you can tell, time is running very fast. We are, running very quickly towards the famous 2022 elections on August of 9. And today we're going to dive again into a political conversation. Now, I have a guest with me here on the set, my new friend,
Yes.
Wairimo Faith, apostle, woman of God, preacher, turned politician. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So looking very sharp, looking very presidential-like.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we'd like you to share. We are live on LVTV Kenya Facebook page, YouTube channel as well. Please go ahead and share. We are giving you time to share. So, let's go on and get this thing going. Hallelujah. All right. Excellent. We are live on LVTV. Okay, so I'm sharing my links here. So that everyone can get to follow this conversation. And wherever you're tuned in, please share. Let's connect. Let's talk. Let's engage. This is a wonderful, wonderful morning. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. And then we are also, you can go to the YouTube side of things, like I'm doing. I go to the YouTube side of things and also share the Morning Digest. Let's get the conversation underway. Right. Okay. Let me share with my guest so that she can also get to share with her friends. This is Wairimo. Okay, here you are. I'm sharing with you the YouTube connection and also the Facebook.
Okay.
Let me share the Facebook as well. Right, so gentlemen, ladies, let's get the conversation going. Please give us your comments. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us what's going on. And let's get this conversation underway in the name of Jesus Christ. Hallelujah. This is absolutely exciting. This is a wonderful. Praise the name of the Lord. So it's going to be a very, very exciting morning as I talk to my guest here today. Very good, very good. Right? Ready? Yes. Have you shared? Very good.
Yes.
Okay. Those of you that are watching, I know I've already received some comments here by someone who saw the link with on my status. Wanja is so excited. So she starts by saying, "What? Congratulations to her. That strength and courage for a young person in a male-dominated arena is worth commending." Right. So. Apostle Wairimu, as soon as you're ready, very good. Have you shared?
Yes, I've shared.
So all your friends must be following us?
Yes.
Very good. So let's get this conversation underway. Monday Morning Digest, we focus on matters that are very relevant, that are present, that have to do with the nation, what's going on. Of course, we are now geared towards the election period.
That's right.
So first, foremost, let's first of all send our condolences to the family of late third president of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Mwai Kibaki. So condolences to the family, condolences to Kenyans. We are standing with our family, and we truly are grateful for the great work the former president of the Republic of Kenya did, and we are absolutely so grateful. So that's important. So now, please start by introducing yourself to the audience, to the viewers, and tell us, give us a little bit of brief of yourself.
Thank you very much, Gigi. It's really great to be here. And as you say, our condolences to the Kenyans and to the family of our departed president. And we forever are grateful for the great work that he did. So my name is Wairimu Faith. I'm an apostle, I'm an educator, and I do so many other things. I say that God has called me to do multiple things in my life. And I appreciate the work that God has given me. And just to give you a bit of my background, I started ministry in the year 2016. Where God called me to start an interdenominational meeting here in Nairobi. So we started in 2016, and we would have monthly meetings where people from all over Kenya, from different churches, will join us. And after that, in 2018, I would get into crusades. And so I started doing crusades at Uhuru Park, started doing crusades in the counties, started doing crusades across the world. And to God be the glory for the work that has been done. We just came back from doing 40 days of crusades, and 32,000 souls were won between November and December 2021. And to God be the glory.
Amen.
And the other hat that I wear is that I am a happy mother of two, and they are excited. They are watching us right now. And I'm also an educationist. My first degree is in education. My second degree is an MBA in marketing. My third degree is a Global Master of Arts in International Law and Diplomacy, which I'm still pursuing at the prestigious Fletcher School in Tufts University, Medford, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Having said that, I have a passion for education. And I taught here, taught in the US. I also worked for corporates. I worked for Safaricom. I worked for NIC Bank, now NCBA. And then after that, I will get into consultancy a bit. I enjoyed consulting. And then God would open up my life into government. And I started working for the US Embassy here in Nairobi in 2012. A wonderful job that opened up an opportunity for me to travel across the country, speaking to students in universities and in high schools. And also gave me an opportunity to help Kenyan students from families that wouldn't afford to take their kids here at university here at home, and orphans to go study in the US. So I have hundreds of Kenyan students studying at Ivy League universities and elite schools that are now working in Facebook, JP Morgan, Microsoft, NASA, and other big institutions. And they've broken the cycle of poverty in their homes. After that, God would elevate me, and thank God we're on Elevate TV. And I went to work for the US government under Education USA. And the US government gave me the responsibility to oversee 19 US embassies and consulates in the region of East and Central Africa. And I am honored to say that I was the first African to hold that position.
Okay.
Within State Department. So I'm very grateful.
All right.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So actually you bring on the table a very broad set of experience in terms of your background and, your career. And that's amazing, amazing. Apparently, I think one of the concerns is that, a lot of people haven't had your story. So there is some sense of surprise that, this, a woman of God who wants to become a president and all that. Okay, fine, you've given that good background. Now, let me ask you about, let's talk about your dream and your vision for the presidency, because, I actually, the poster we put out for this conversation is Wairimo Faith for President. So that's what you are here now to talk about. Tell us about your dream to become the president of the great Republic of Kenya.
Amazing. This is a wonderful country. And maybe for me to just give a brief background as to what brought me here. What journey have I been on? And I would like to take us back to 1988. I'm from Nakuru County, the great county of Nakuru.
Right.
A beautiful small town called Njoro.
Right.
But thank God Egerton University puts us on the map, so we are not so small.
All right.
In 1988, we had to leave school suddenly. And when we got home, I asked my parents, why did we have to come home and the school day is not over? And she said, there were skirmishes and everybody, my dad, everyone was home. It will happen in 1992 that I'm in school. And all of a sudden, there's commotion, there is chaos, and we have to run out of school. And what we see is people with blood all over and arrows in their bodies. And so again, we run home, and when we get home, I ask my parents, what's going on? They say, it is election. And so in 1988, as a young kid, I had seen election and I had seen commotion. This is 1992, I see election and I see bloodshed. So in my mind, I begin to think that elections mean bloodshed.
Okay.
It means chaos. It means disrupting normal life. In 1997, again, I'm in school, the same thing was going to happen. We get into a situation of post-election violence. In 1997, I'm in my school in Molo. So when post-election violence, when election violence happens, I'm in the midst of it, because now this is Molo, and it was a hotspot then for violence.
Yeah, yeah.
So I begin to connect as a young person elections and violence. By the time it is 2007, 2008, I begin now to ask myself, because I'm an adult, is it possible that Kenyans can get a third voice, a neutral voice, so that if two people are going to cause the emotions of Kenyans to flare and get into violence, then we have a voice of reason that says, hey, you don't have to fight. And then, like David, God takes me into the wilderness and gives me responsibilities, teaches me things, and here I am. And I say that I am the third voice. It is no longer a two-horse race. I am here for this election. And it is time for us to begin to ask ourselves, what is elections in Kenya? And so I am here. That is my background, but also looking at the challenges that we face as a nation.
Absolutely.
I have the solutions for it. Most of the things that bother us, like unemployment, it is not a big deal. But the reason why unemployment continues to thrive in our country, it's because it is easy to rule people that are dependent on a political system.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to be coming back to that. Faith, I tell you, you are already shooting very seriously. Gitao, Jose, Boro, thank you very much that you're following this conversation. And so I don't know who that guitar is. Probably is somebody you're very associated with.
Yes.
So let's get the conversation going. I have with me on the set here Faith Wairimo, or Wairimo Faith. She prefers, being called Wairimo Faith. She is going for the seat of the president of this nation. And she's telling us here, she's coming from, there are these echoes of elections and violence. She learned that the hard way, having been part of the growing up in Joro in Nakuru, the famous Molo, place which was a trouble spot, a hot spot in Kenyan elections. And I think I can understand that myself. Not that I come from Joro, but if every time you see there are elections and then you are disrupted, obviously you have to keep asking yourself very hard questions. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions for Faith, please let us know, and let's hear from you, and let's have this conversation going. I have with me a lady who has thrown her heart into the mix. She wants to be the president of this republic. So Wairimo, tell us, is Kenya ready for a woman president?
Thank you very much. And I believe that a time has come for us to ask ourselves that question. And to ask ourselves, 58 years post-independence, are we ready to continue with another 5 years where we are dealing with the same issues? Again, in 2008, I wrote articles. And when I look at what I wrote in 2008, and what I will be dealing with as president, it's the same issues. Corruption, negative ethnicity, poverty, unemployment. We haven't really dealt with those things. We are still grappling with them.
Yes.
And one of the things that I would like to mention is that we have come to a place where we have to question the quality of our leadership and the people that we elect as our leaders.
Absolutely.
And Kenyans have no choice but to sit down and ask themselves this question. Think about it. Dubai is 51 years old. And we are praying, as women of God, as church leaders, people come to us and say, please pray for me because I need to get a job in Dubai. Dubai is 51 years old. So Dubai is a younger sister to us. But why is it that as church leaders, we are praying for employment, for people to go to countries that have just grown up while we were watching? The leadership question is a question that we must address during this election. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I like that pitch. I like the pitch. I like the idea of Dubai,
yes,
51 years after its establishment, you know, it's kind of, you know, establishment as a free nation, as a confederate of it's part of the Emirates.
Yes.
And big city, 51 years later, it's one of the most attractive and one of the most beautiful and developed cities in the world.
That's
attracting a lot of people. People are desperate to go and work in Dubai. So why not Nairobi?
Exactly.
Why not Kenya? That's the question you're saying.
Yes.
And you are actually pinning that down to leadership.
That's right.
Tell us about how our leadership has not delivered.
Thank you very much. It is sad to say that we have had a leadership of divide and rule.
Okay.
We divide our own people and then we rule them that way. It is easy to rule people that are divided. And you have rightly said that Dubai is a confederate. It is the United Arab Emirates. When we come together as Kenyans, and I stop seeing myself as a Kikuyu and seeing another person as a Turkana, and I see us as Kenyans, and we come together and begin to work together, we can only build a big nation and a successful nation and a great nation. The Bible is very clear. The Bible says that where there is unity, God commands a blessing.
Absolutely.
And God's blessing is not underpinned by religion. Wherever God sees unity, he blesses the place.
Okay.
And it is time for us to start saying, as Kenyans, we have prayed for God to bless our nation, but we are doing things in reverse. It is time for us to be united, and the blessing of God will come automatically.
Absolutely.
Any person, any nation that operates under the blessing of God can only grow and it can prosper. Now, having said that, the other thing that has killed this nation is a culture that lacks merit.
Okay.
A culture of chronism. I'm going to give this person a job because they are my friend, and it doesn't matter whether I am going to overlook a person who can get that job and do a better job because they have merit. So a culture of chronism has killed us. But what has killed us and has brought this nation to its deathbed is corruption.
Okay.
And we have corruption that has never been prosecuted.
Okay.
And we have presented corruption to Kenyans as a Goliath, as something that cannot be dealt with. We've brought it as a mystery, and we have branded it a beautiful name. We call it corruption. What corruption is looting of public funds.
Okay, okay. You've raised several issues. I think I will take you back so that then we can talk to each of those issues, you know, one by one.
That's right.
So first of all, let's go back to this issue of negative ethnicity. The biggest, and I've had other people, I've interviewed a few other people, and this thing keeps coming back.
That's right.
Ethnicity. The fact that we are, first of all, as Kenya, we are, you know, a nation of like about 43 ethnic communities. But we share a number of things. We share language in terms of, you know, English, Swahili, or rather, at least we decided that those are the languages we're going to promote across the nation, while our mother tongues are different.
That's right.
So how can these ethnic differentiated cultural, you know, experiences of our people, you know, first of all, do you think that we need to actually like dissolve our cultural, you know, identities, and then now forget about them, you know, forget about our traditional languages and stuff like that? So how do we deal? How do we live within that reality? We are different ethnic you know, experiences, background, cultures, but we still have to be existing as a nation. How do we put that together? How do we manage that, you know, kind of like coexistence?
Thank you very much. Our cultures make us unique. And I'm going to tell you my story. Growing up, it was really exciting to have a neighbor that was Luo. So my mother is not going to cook fish, but my Luo neighbor is going to cook fish.
Okay.
So if I wanted to eat different food, I go to my neighbor's house and eat fish.
Okay.
Because they were
That
Luos.
was Molo.
That was in Joro.
All right.
Because it's very cosmopolitan.
Right.
And so I really had a great childhood because I had people from different communities tried different foods, learned different words within that community. So our diversity is our strength. It brings color, it brings differences, it brings variety to our food, to our dance, to our language, and to how we see things. So we get to enjoy other people's perspective.
Yes.
And having said that, the only time that we will now fight is during elections. We don't have issues during the 4 years before elections. There were never issues. The issues of negative ethnicity only appear during election year.
Okay. So you say that the promotion of negative ethnicity is really related, correlated to elections.
Exactly.
Very closely related, you know, like
they're cousins.
Yeah, they're cousins.
Yes.
So then, why do our leaders then pull out that card?
And I think it's very sad that our leaders over the years have chosen the rhetoric and the narrative of fighting communities. And when you look at it, unfortunately, when we look at 2007, 2008, it was a story, it was a narrative of 40 against 1. Unfortunately, it was other communities coming to fight one tribe, the Kikuyu tribe. And sometimes we have to put these cards on the table, because unless we bring things out to the sun, then they cannot be sanitized.
All right. Okay. Unless we put things out to the sun, they cannot be sanitized.
Yes.
That's coming from my guest here. Unless we put things out to the sun, they cannot be sanitized. There are some things that need to be brought on the table.
Absolutely.
So that then we can face them squarely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And the thing now becomes, when you fight this one tribe, they are the farmers. And I will tell you my story, because that's what I know best.
Yes.
When they fight the Kikuyus are the farmers. That means that year we will not grow crop. And what happens is that the next year, the cost of food will be very high, because the people who are the majority of farmers did not farm. The second thing, we are the ones who own small kiosks. So again, it affects businesses.
Okay. So maybe we may not need to go there, because that's obviously at this point in time pulls out the same. We want that devil buried, dead and lost.
That's right.
So I think what you're saying, let's summarize that and say, it is our leaders that pull out this ethnic card.
Yes.
And they want to leverage it for political gain.
Yes.
And so here you are. You are Wairimo. So just even by your name, we can we can second guess where you're coming from. We can second guess which box we are going to put you in. You fit in the box called Kikuyu. So how are you going to convince Kenyans that, look, you can't put the Kikuyu label on me. You have to see me as a Kenyan, a cosmopolitan person. How do you wriggle out of that box, which a lot of political, they will just look at you and say, Wairimo, we know. You belong to the slippery Mount Kenya place. How do you wriggle out of that?
Again, very important, the issue of ethnicity. And when you tell somebody your name is Mary, the next thing they're going to ask you is, what is your other name? Because they want to put you in a box.
All right.
And the time has come for us to realize that me being a Kikuyu has not benefited me. Because if I'm going to buy fuel at 130 shillings, you're going to buy fuel at 130 shillings, regardless of your community and ethnic background.
All right.
When we are talking about unemployment doesn't favor Kikuyus or Maasais. We all go through the same thing.
All right.
And so we need to begin to address the issues that we face. And because the ethnic card has been presented by politicians, we need to see beyond the blindfold of ethnicity that they have given us, because ethnicity is our blind side. As long as we don't see it, then the politicians have power over us.
Absolutely. Ethnicity is our blind side. And so let's look at some of the comments that are coming here. Gitao Jose is following us. Wambui Chege here says, the most brilliant leader Kenya will see. Oh, wow, amazing. And the most brilliant Kenyans are about to experience. Please give us your comment. Let me look at the YouTube channel. There are people that are watching on the YouTube. Please give us your comment. Let's know what's going on. What's your questions for my guest here? Wairimo Faith is going for the presidential ticket. And she's here saying, look, we must put this ethnic card behind us and get to the core of the conversation.
That's right.
Absolutely, absolutely. Divide and rule, cronyism. How is that? How are you going to deal with that? You know, look, let me give you an example.
Yes.
If you get elected, I'm using the word if, maybe I should use when, so that then, you know, we are people of faith. This Elevate TV is a Christian channel, so we like using faith. So let's say when, so that then we can affirm that. How do you really go around the fact that obviously if you're going to choose people that are going to form government with you, you will maybe start with your friends. So how do you differentiate between having to work with people you know, so that then obviously you know you have a relationship, and then again avoiding the cronyism, you know, cronies, you know, around you? How do you manage that? How will you ensure that you do not actually then end up being another, you know, crony card carrying, you know, presidential candidate?
Thank you very much. And I'm going to start with where I'm coming from.
Right.
When I announced my presidential bid, I asked my networks, do you know anyone who is strong in strategy? Do you know anyone that is strong in planning? Do you know anyone that is strong in economics? And the team that I've been working with are people that I didn't know. Some of them I know, some of them that I didn't know, but they are successful in their sphere of influence.
Absolutely.
So bringing in great minds. Others are from the Asian community, others are from Muslim community, and it doesn't matter. The question is, are they Kenyans? Can they deliver the presidency and the leadership that Kenya needs in August 9th? And the answer is yes. So they brought that in. And this is what I want to say, that my administration is for anyone who knows that they are good at something.
Okay.
If you know that you are a competent person, you are a hardworking person, and you are somebody that loves this nation, my administration will be your administration, and we will give you positions.
Absolutely.
Because there comes a time, and this is that time, where we have to not do what has been done before. Because it is only a mad person who does the same thing over and over again and expects a different result.
Absolutely. That is coming from Wairimo faith. It's only a mad person who does the same thing over and over again, expecting the same results. Tell us what your thoughts are. I have my guest here on the set. We are talking about Wairimo for president. She is going all the way for the big ticket, and absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. And there you are. She's talking about competence. If you're competent, you are part of the team. Right, Wairimo, as we come to like the, you know, when this first part of this conversation, I believe that, you know, there is something that, first of all, what are some of your top agendas? And I want you to begin that, just name them, so that then when we, after the break, when we come back, then we can dive into the actual agendas. So, what are some of those key issues that you really want to address in your administration when you get elected, or if you get elected?
Thank you very much. I'm going to give my top three: education, economy, agriculture.
Absolutely. Education, economy, agriculture.
Yes.
Wow, wonderful. And I think that's a big, those are top agenda. They are top issues. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you are sharing. I hope you are enjoying this conversation. Let's hear your comments. Let's hear what you have to say. If you have any questions for my guest, please put them on the social media platform. There are numbers on the screen as well. You can send us a text. We can pass it. If you have you want to connect with the Wairimo, there is the number on the screen that you can use, so that then you can get in touch with us and we can link you up to my guest here, so that then you can get to be part of her dream. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so making a political move. I want you to talk to us, and this is a conversation we're also going to begin, but we have to kind of like, how are you going to play to deal with the issue of the fact that you're coming from ministry, church ministry, You're an apostle. You told me you've been ordained. You're ordained in America as an apostle, and you are running a Christian ministry here. So that's an issue that you need to address yourself to. Those two issues, your agenda and how you're going to maneuver around the two issues of ministry and politics. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break. I have already raised the issues with my guest. As we take the break, she's going to be thinking and, preparing an answer for us. If you have any questions for my guest, please send your questions. Let's know what you think. Let's know, if you have any concerns. And let's get this conversation going. So we go into a very short break. We're coming back shortly. Don't go away. Keep it Elevate TV.
My name is Apostle David Juma. I host the Encourage a Pastor program.
God wants the church to operate fully in the supernatural.
Who is ministering to the leaders.
And he said, son, this is going to kill you.
Oh my God.
Because I want to take you places only dead men can walk.
At one point in my house, I just switched off. Najua ile watu wanasema kuhani.
And this show deals with different subjects and matters and issues that concern the pastors and church leaders.
If you receive a prophetic word, the first thing is go back to God.
God values you in the office he has called you to.
So if you're an apostle all the way to a Bible teacher, evangelist, or a prophet.
Welcome back. This is the Monday Morning Digest, and we are live here on Elevate TV. This is exciting. We are also live on our social media platforms, so keep sharing, keep commenting. Let's get the conversation going. I have a guest with me here. This is a presidential candidate, Wairimo, for president. My friend and guest here, Wairimo Faith, is going for the top seat, and she's very unapologetic about it, and absolutely amazing. So Wairimo,
Yes.
I like your courage. I like your boldness. Not many people can do the kind of things that you are doing. Maybe I can ask you, have you had any pushback, any fallout? Some of your friends say, no, Wairimo, you're out of your mind. What are you doing? Anything like that? Maybe you can tell me. If you don't want to say it now, you can tell me after. Tell me, there are some people who really... All right.
I think the biggest pushback that I've had is that I'm not from a known family.
Okay.
And so the way our politics is designed is that you have to be from a big family for you to run for the presidency. And then the other question was, you are not again from the political class.
Yes.
Because when you look at most of the people who are vying for the presidency, they've been in politics for about 30 years.
Right.
So they're like, you've not been in politics, why do you want to do this?
Right.
So those are the pushbacks that I've had. Most of my friends did not believe it.
Okay.
Because they said, Kenyan politics, people kill each other.
Right.
And I said, if you live a life that you have nothing that is worth dying for, then it's not life.
Absolutely.
You are existing.
Okay. Very good. So you decided, look, this is my game. I'm going to play it. I am ready for whatever it takes. Wonderful. So let's go to the agenda.
Yes.
So before the break, we told our viewers that we're going to be hearing your agenda. What exactly are you up to? And you say you're going to focus on three main areas: economy, agriculture, and education.
Yes.
So maybe you can break that down for us. What are you going to do for us in education?
Okay. Thank you. So those are the top three. There are other things that my administration will be dealing with, but these are the top three for this conversation. Education. One thing that, Gigi, I would like us to ask ourselves, the students that I took to study in America are working for Fortune 500 companies. 22, 23 years old, earning close to $1 million shillings per month. Their classmates who are in this country are still unemployed. That should tell us something about our education system.
Right.
Same students, same class. Maybe we went to Alliance, Mangustarehe Boys, Kisii High School, Mary School, but the one that leaves Kenya to go study abroad has better opportunities in life, a higher salary. The one who is in Kenya is struggling to make ends meet. That tells us that we need to rethink our education system and create a relevant education system that makes our children to be competitive at the tertiary level. Number two, when we look about education, we cannot talk about education and not talk about the teachers and the plight of the teachers in the classroom. We have very big classes. When we look at our student-teacher ratio, in the primary school, we are talking of over 70, sometimes 100 students in a class. How can one teacher be effective in 40 minutes and teach 100 students? What we are doing, and we call it education because that's what we want it to be, is that we are just taking students through an education system, but they're not learning.
Okay.
And it is time
That's
for
a
us-
serious indictment on our education system.
It really is.
Yes.
Because having taught in the US, I would have a class that was as small as 9 students. Why does the US government ensure that their classroom sizes are small? Is for that student to ask questions. It is for them to learn. They're not there for me to speak at them. They're there to interact with me as a facilitator who is teaching a certain concept.
Okay.
And it is time that we also allow our students to ask questions that they might have.
Okay, maybe one of the things somebody would be concerned about, we can't afford those kind of ratios. We don't have those kind of resources. We may afford maybe 40 to 1, but we can't afford 9 to 1 ratio. What is the idea, given that you understand the Kenyan system and the dynamics and our economics, or maybe that's the test of this question? What is the ideal ratio? What are you willing to live with? What will your government pursue in terms of a ratio? You say, this is our aim. We achieve 25, 35 to 1 or whatever. What is the number?
One of the things that we need to ask ourselves is, if we didn't have corruption, would we have the resources to build additional classes, employ more teachers? The answer is yes.
Yes, the answer is that is yes.
Yes, now come to your question, what is the ideal? At least I would say 35.
Okay.
At least 35.
You go for 35.
I will go for 35. To start with, I will go for 35.
Okay.
Reduce that classroom size up to 35 and just maybe increase the time. Because if you're talking about 35 and the classroom time is 40 minutes, then if each student was to ask a question, the teacher only has 5 minutes to teach.
Absolutely. And because you are a teacher, so having been trained as a teacher,
Yes.
I would say, I think you understand the dynamics, you understand the pedagogy arguments and all that, and effectiveness, quality. So yes.
right. Yes.
So you say, our ratios are not right.
Yes.
We are not investing enough. Obviously, that means quality is suffering.
It's suffering.
And that needs to be addressed.
The other thing now is also to ask ourselves, COVID has happened. How are we going to tailor our education system to bring relevance again to our classrooms? I was attending a conference in India last year, and they were talking about bringing computer science into elementary, that is primary school. Our students are still not in that level. We need to make sure that once our children leave the school system, they are relevant to the life that they will live.
Okay.
Having said that, and again back to the teachers, our teachers have been fighting and clamoring for a salary increment. One of the things my administration that is going to do, and it is very radical, is cut the income tax for teachers.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Oh, okay. Cut the income tax for teachers.
Yes.
That means lower tax revenue for your government. How are you going to bridge the gap?
It is very simple. And I'm going to now, it looks like now we are sliding into the next thing, the economy.
Yes.
Once we wipe out corruption, we are going to be a country that attracts FDI, foreign direct investment.
Okay.
Once we have more people coming and investing in our country, we're going to have more corporate taxes.
Okay.
We're going to have more jobs created. But it is time for us to make a sacrifice to make sure that the teachers who are preparing the next generation of Kenyans are comfortable to do that.
Okay. They are
And
properly
that's-
remunerated.
Yes, and they're not distracted by poor salaries. We need to make teachers happy. If you look at the teacher's contract, do you know it is the only job in our country, and other than the doctors, that tells the teacher that he is or she is on duty 24 hours a day?
Okay. All right.
Remunerate them well.
I haven't worked for TSC, so perhaps I haven't read that letter of appointment. So you have read the letter of appointment.
My mother was a teacher.
Okay.
I was a teacher, so I've seen the cycle.
Okay.
And so once we make sure that the teacher is comfortable and they can focus on teaching students, then we now give them time to even give us feedback as government and say, this is what I think that we should do.
Okay.
And also have professional development courses where we send our teachers to other countries to go and benchmark, then come back and tell us this is what we ought to do.
Okay. What's your take of CBC? How is it doing? Do you think it's a good idea? Is it just another luxury, education system we are imposing on ourselves? We would have done with the older, less complex system. Where do you stand on the CBC?
I think CBC has been crucified already by parents. And that was even before COVID, but now COVID has happened and it has changed the dynamic.
Okay.
Think about it. Technology has disrupted the world. And CBC definitely, by the time we were implementing it, we hadn't talked about the pandemic and what the pandemic was going to do to the workforce.
Yeah.
Number two, my challenge with CBC is that my daughter comes home and she says, the teacher says we download and we print this. How will a child in Baringo, in Turkana, going to download and print anything?
Okay. So the system says download, print.
Yes.
That's the assignment.
Yes, and I'm in Turkana. I don't even have food to eat.
And I'm a Kato Hada living in a thatched house in, Lokitang.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what does that do? Is that we have an education system that has been rolled out or implemented in a way that is biased.
Okay.
This education system will help somebody who is living in Nairobi, will not help somebody who is in Turkana.
Okay.
And again, rethinking the education system and asking ourselves, are we genuinely interested in our children learning? Or is it something that government is doing to check a box and say education, 100% are students in school? Are we just checking boxes? Or are we genuinely making sure that that child in Turkana gets an education that is going to remove them from where they are to where they ought to be?
Absolutely. Maybe we could say that the teachers in Turkana can modify the assignment. Instead of download and print, they can say go fetch it from the bush and cut it and bring it to school or something like that. Okay, so we can leave that argument. So education needs calibration. It needs a lot of fixing. There are issues, there are things that are not working well. Absolutely amazing. All right, so economy.
And this is where we found ourselves at a standstill. We are in a bad place.
Right.
Because our economy before COVID was struggling. We had seen so many organizations shut doors and go. COVID again has brought us to a place where 740,000 Kenyans lost their jobs.
Okay.
That should tell us again that the people who are paying taxes have, that number has greatly reduced. And then we have more people that are dependent because they have lost their source of income. One of the things about the economy is that we need to rethink our economy model. We are still on Adam Smith. We need to move from there and begin to think about what is our tax base. Number two, we need to also think about our corporate taxes. Our corporate taxes are very high. They are 30%. Is it possible that we reduce them and give our corporates more money to reinvest and employ more people?
Okay.
Create again a bigger base in terms of employment and taxpayers. The other thing about our economy, and this is a story, it's a conversation that we keep talking about, is corruption. When we lose money through corruption, the government loses its revenue. When the government loses its revenue, then they come and tax the people more. Now, let us look at manufacturing. We have had most of our manufacturers struggle with the high cost of energy because they have to pay the fuel levy tax and they charge, and they have to pay VAT on electricity. So let's take, for instance, today you have bought electricity worth 1,000 shillings. Do you know that you're going to get tokens less than 50%? Over 50% of that 1,000 is going to go to taxes and other charges.
Okay.
Now think about a manufacturing plant. With the high cost of energy, what are they going to do? They're going to reduce their overheads. And what is easy to do is to reduce employment.
Okay.
Now, when we look again at our economy, the question that we need to ask ourselves, are we buffering our SMEs? Because SMEs are the biggest employers of Kenyans.
Okay.
How are we cushioning them from hard economic times? How are we cushioning them from high cost of capital? Because our our interest rates on our loans are very high. How are we cushioning them? Because if you look at most organizations that have shut down, they have shut down because they took a loan that they couldn't pay and they shut down, and everybody was working for that organization goes home.
Okay.
So we need to rethink about our tax policy. We need to rethink corruption, and we need to rethink about the cartels. Because you want to come and start a business in Kenya. By the time you come, they say, oh, if you give me 10%, if you give, I've not even started working. How am I going to give you money and I haven't even started working?
Okay.
Make sure that we wipe that out and make sure that our country is a place where you are interested in coming to start a business.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I love that. I think you know you have clearly articulated some of the big issues. Taxes, okay, need calibration.
Yes.
Whether now, well, you suggest that you would like to reduce corporate tax. Somebody will push back and say, no, you're giving back money to the rich guys, because once you reduce their corporate tax, you know they are going to keep more money back, and they may not necessarily plow it back. They may put it back in their pockets. The owners of the business, the shareholders. So somebody could push back and say, no, look, if you let these guys keep back more money, they are going to actually ship it out, buy another maybe housing unit, some apartment in Dubai, with the profit. So, but
and remember, everything is about policy.
Okay.
You give somebody something, but you have to also regulate how that happens.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So it's not just reducing taxes. You have to ensure that the policy framework is such that
guides
that tax reduction
yes.
is able to come back into the system.
Exactly.
Okay. Corruption.
Yes.
The old question, any presidential candidate must explain to Kenyans how they are going to, what they are going to do to cut the legs, I'm going to use that word, of this monster called corruption. Maybe spear it with an arrow or a spear or whatever. How are you going to, what is the one bullet? Maybe we should even say, what exactly is the problem? Because corruption is everywhere. All the countries in the world are corrupt.
They're struggling with corruption.
I just read some write-up from Germany, and apparently they also have their own shares of, they have a long list, by the way, of scandals they are dealing with, that they have dealt with. So it's not that corruption is foreign anywhere in the world, all right?
That's right.
Even, one time, another organization, I won't name it, was accused of corruption, a very big multinational. How are you going to deal with corruption?
Well, one of the things that I have to say is that Kenyans have to ask themselves that question. How do we deal with corruption? Because the politicians have always used it as a campaign card. I will fight corruption. Even the ones who are in government right now are telling us they will fight corruption.
Absolutely.
And the question to Kenyans then becomes, how are you going to take personal responsibility of fighting corruption? We know who the corrupt people are. Should we go again and vote them in and give them another opportunity to come and loot public funds? Because we cannot look at government and say, government, you're corrupt. The question is, who put the corrupt government officials in government? It is Kenyans. So Kenyans must decide that even though government has promised us and they have failed to deliver on the fight against corruption, we are going to take responsibility. And as Kenyans, we must say that the buck stops with us.
Okay.
Decide that if you have been accused of abuse of public office, I'm not going to vote you in. Because if we keep voting them in, we continue to give people who have looted our public resources another opportunity to go back and loot. Number two, there has to be upholding of the rule of law. This is a country where we have laws, and those laws seem like suggestions. And why do I say this? Because the ODPP is on record having said that they are not going to be prosecuting leaders who have corruption charges against them, to give them time to woo voters.
Oh yeah. By the way, that I think is something that is now in the public domain.
Yes.
The public prosecutor has come out and declared that he is not going to prosecute politicians right now. He's giving them a kind of a tax break or whatever it is, a window so that they can play their politics.
Exactly.
Is that an indictment of how the system is abetting corruption?
Absolutely. And we have a whole chapter on integrity. On our constitution, chapter 6 talks about integrity. Then why should we have a constitution that the people who are supposed to be upholding the constitution don't uphold it? So that's what I was saying. Our laws are like suggestions because no one upholds the rule of law.
Okay.
Number 3, in the fight against corruption, the judiciary must be independent.
Okay.
The ethics and anti-corruption does their job. The judiciary does their job. This country will be able to fight corruption. But if the judiciary is a puppet of the executive, then they cannot fight corruption.
Absolutely, 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 absolutely. So corruption is a problem.
Yes.
We must fix the system. We got to get into that mix.
That's right.
And ensure the rule of law is upheld.
Absolutely.
If we're going to fight corruption. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you're following this conversation. We are talking here with Wairimo Faith, a presidential candidate. She's going all the way for the top seat in this country. And she is telling us about her agenda. Education is going to be a big agenda for her. And economy. And one of the elements of how she's going to fix this economy, she's going to address the issue of corruption. Absolutely. Now, there are people watching here. The Agile and Naftari is watching. Wamboichege is watching. Huria, very attractive Kuzo. My goodness. Oh my goodness! Just give us a question. There are some of your admirers are following you, and they're good thing. You you want your family members to wake up from sleep, right?
That's right.
Yes, and come on in the conversation, right?
It's time to wake up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wairimo, I am so excited. There is Evangelist Philip Kyoko here saying very inspiring, all right? Okay. So there are people who really think that your story is very, very inspiring. So we've talked about two things. Before we run out of time, education, economy, agriculture. What's wrong with our agriculture system? Where is the problem?
Okay, just to say one more thing about the economy, I will remove VAT from food products, make food affordable for everyone.
Which particular items? Because if you can make my bread cheaper, I'll be happy. And maybe milk.
Yes, anything that is called food, anything that anyone consumes, let us make that affordable. Because a healthy nation doesn't again increase your cost of health. If your nation is unhealthy, guess what? The Ministry of Health is gonna have a higher budget.
Okay, so when the only little pushback, I'm now the devil's advocate. The guys who actually buy these foods off the supermarkets and have to interact with this VAT, are we people who live in the city? In Nairobians, the guys in the big city with salaries. But the people in the village, my mother doesn't pay VAT on milk or bread or something like that because she takes her own food. She eats her own food from the market. And if Kenyans, the rural urban ratio is still 70%, it's 30% who are going to benefit from that tax exemption.
Yes, and now this is how it pans out.
Yeah.
It is the people who are in the city who are supporting the people at home.
All right.
If you do not have to spend so much, it means that you have more disposable income to send home for other activities.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'll grant you that. That's absolutely amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So let's see what's going on here on the YouTube channel. Let's see where the comments charts, where the comments, and okay, great. As soon as I see what's going on, I'll let you know. All right. So, Faith. Let's talk about agriculture.
Yes.
Okay, that's where we are.
Now, if we look at the current war in Russia and Ukraine, Ukrainians will not be able to harvest up to 30% of their crop because of the situation that is happening
conflict,
there.
yes.
Now, looking at our situation here at home, our farmers, again, most of them, a majority, will not be able to farm because the cost of fertilizer has gone up with up to 100%. And having gone up, the cost of fertilizer gone up, it's also not accessible. Now, the farmers who planted their maize earlier on, the armyworms have already come and eaten the crop and cleared the whole vegetation. We need to ask ourselves, how do we help our farmers in what they're doing, because agriculture is a huge part of our economy.
Absolutely.
It is.
I agree.
It is not something, it's not an economic activity that we can wish away, but we have for the many years that we have had. If you look at and bring the agricultural extension officers and make sure that the farmers have the support that they need to make sure that they are planting the right seed, that they have the right support. Like the way in banking you have a relationship manager. Your relationship manager helps you to remain financially viable.
Okay.
Can we bring agricultural extension officers to make sure that our farmers are viable in their farming activities?
Okay.
Number two, it is time for us to begin to think about those agricultural extension officers coming so that they can inform government of the gaps within agriculture.
Okay.
Can they tell us, in the next 3 years, we need X amount of fertilizers? The other thing, is it possible that we can also manufacture fertilizer? And that is something that I am interested, and my administration will do. We will build a fertilizer plant in this country.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Wairimo, that this fertilizer business,
yes,
I think that's a big impediment.
It is.
Maybe perhaps instead of building the expressway, we should have built a fertilizer factory.
Absolutely.
Or maybe built a couple of them. But I guess Nairobians want to deal with traffic jams, while the farmers can be worrying about fertilizer in the villages. You know, they are not here. They are not in the city.
It's very unfortunate.
All right.
Because everybody is going to eat something at the end of the day.
Okay.
And if we are not supporting the farmers to do what they're supposed to do for us to get food, then what happens is that when we have a higher demand than the supply, the cost of food goes up and it becomes unaffordable.
Okay.
Now, it is also time for us to think about the nomadic communities. When we look at the situation in Marsabit, that war has been there for over 20 years, and part of the cause of that conflict is natural resources.
Okay.
When we have agricultural extension officers, is it possible for them to come and tell government, this is what we need, and we can avoid protracted conflict within our communities? Then we always tell nomads and the nomadic communities, think about this, your cattle are about to die, it's time for you to come and sell them to us. By the time they are at KMC, they are dead. So we buy a product that is dead, and the person who has the cows as their source of livelihood doesn't have it. Is it possible that we bring the veterinary officers to support nomadic communities?
Okay.
And to help them do what they're supposed to do? Is it possible that we build slaughterhouses where the nomadic communities are based in northeastern, in Maasai land, so that those cows don't have to come to Nairobi, so that we can cut some of the losses?
Okay.
Is it possible that we also invest in forestry? Our weather pattern is changing. When we expect rain, it doesn't come. And when I was growing up, our rain was very consistent.
Okay.
But then we had very vibrant forests. It is time for us to begin to think about our environment, about our climate change, and begin to invest in forestry. Absolutely.
So, Faith, Wairimu, you have addressed those three issues: education, economy, agriculture. Absolutely amazing. And you think that the gap within agriculture is probably the dynamics of the dynamics of information flow, the kind of support that farmers are getting or not getting.
That's right.
And so kind of like that particular part of the agriculture, the traditional agricultural support system of extension workers, you think that that's broken and it's not working. Okay, the other day, obviously, in the news, there was a current agriculture, I think CS, he announced reduction in fertilizer prices. I guess that was a political move. So, because it's been retailing at around 6,500 a bag of DAP or something like that, and now he announced that down to, I think, 2,500 or 3,000. So, those are some of the games that are being played.
That's right.
So, if you're able to solve those three major things and that is fixed, what else are we not talking about? I like asking that question. What else are we not talking about in this conversation?
I think
about our politics.
I think one of the things that we're not talking about is the importance of us voting. it is time for us to stop being apathetic to the process. And I think that there is, aspersions have been cast about the credibility of our voting process.
Okay.
And it is time for us to talk about the elephant in the room.
Right.
People feel that it is not the person who casts the vote that counts, but it is the person who votes who counts the vote that has been cast that counts.
Okay.
And so when we have a majority of Kenyans who feel that the election will be decided upon by the politicians, then what happens is that they won't go to vote.
Okay. So you said a very important thing. Wairimo is here saying it is not the person who casts the vote that counts, it is the person who counts the vote that counts. Amazing indictment on our system. So you think those cartels are still not dead? They are still going to be there, over the counting of the votes? And is that what is driving the skepticism among our voters, young voters in particular?
That's right. So somebody asked me, why do I have to vote? And they say, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And they do not see why they need to vote. And it is time for us to begin to trust the process.
Okay.
And to know that our vote counts. Because if you do not come out and vote, then you allow the bad people to vote, to come in.
Okay.
You're saying, Faith, go for it. I'm going to vote for you. But if you don't step out and come and vote for me, you are allowing the same politicians that have sung the same song, tell us the same story, and we're only growing older to win.
Okay.
So we must come out and believe that the IEBC chair is going to make sure that we have a peaceful, a fair, and a safe election.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, the other thing that we also have to get out of is despair amongst Kenyans.
Okay. Okay.
Some of us believe that, to use Kiswahili, hii Kenya imeshagawanyishwa.
Okay.
And when you ask them what supports that, they say, look even at the coalitions. The coalitions are based on what percentage are you going to get. It has nothing, the coalitions have nothing to do with Kenyans. They have everything to do with politicians and what they're going to get. What does that make the Kenyan feel? The Kenyan feel there is no use. Because this election is about the coalitions and what politicians are going to get.
Okay.
But it is important for us to tell the Kenyans that their vote counts, their voice counts, they need to step out, they need to vote for me on that day. Step out. Don't give up. Don't throw your hands in the air and say it is not useful.
Absolutely. 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 Ladies and gentlemen, we are having a very interesting conversation here. I think one of the viewers has summarized for us education, economy, agriculture. You have my vote. That's coming from Gitao. Gitao is saying, you have my vote. If you're going to look after those three things, you have my vote. And Wanja Kibabu here watching says, sober mind with Kenya at heart. Inspiring talk. That's very encouraging, my sister Wairimo. So, Wairimo, I think we are coming to the end of this program. We got to summarize that up. So, I want you to give your message to Kenyans, all right? I want to give you an opportunity to give your message to Kenyans. Call them out. I like the two issues you have highlighted, that we must drop the skepticism about voting. And we must not accept the idea that Kenya imegawanwa. This thing has already been divided up. We even if we vote or we don't vote, these guys have already shared out everything. So we just helpless, non-entities out there. So there is no need to vote. So you need to address Kenyans. So look at that camera and tell Kenyans, come on, wake up. Don't give up on Kenya.
Absolutely. And as I address Kenyans this morning, it is time for us to reflect upon the sacrifices of those that have gone before us. When we think about our forefathers, the Mau Mau, they went to fight the colonial masters so that you and I are not slaves in this year and at this time. They did not have sophisticated artillery, but they gave up their lives to ensure that we are not slaves. And a time has come for our generation. It has come for us as Kenyans. And that is why I am stepping up as a Kenyan, not as a politician, but I'm stepping up as a stateswoman to say that we are going to create a better Kenya for the generation that is coming. The next generation is not going to be a slave of Bretton Woods institutions and the institutions that we have borrowed from. The next generation that is coming is not going to be looking for jobs and praying for jobs in other places. The next generation of pastors and apostles that are going to walk in my footsteps, prophets, teachers, are not going to be praying for jobs, for security, against corruption, for leaders. They are going to come and do what they are called to do, to win souls and to build the kingdom of God until the cities of this world become the cities of our God and of his Christ. Thank you.
Absolutely. There you are, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the very, very solid, candid words summarizing the call by my guest, Wairimo Faith. She's going for the presidential position in this republic. She's made her case, and she's appealing to you and me. Let's not be skeptical. Let's go out there and make a difference. Every vote counts. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I have been your host here on Elevate TV, Godfrey Gishoke, and we got to come to the end of this program. Thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for your comments. We really appreciate each one of you, and God bless you. Have a great week. We see you another time, same channel. God bless you. Bye for now.